All right, guys. Crazy round one of the NFL draft. Some picks that I saw coming, some picks that we didn't see coming, some good smoke screens out there, some highs, some lows from several organizations out there, including maybe the Las Vegas Raiders, maybe stunning some people with this selection at 19 overall. So let's just kind of get right into it. Joe Burrow, number one, saw that. Chase Young. No trading. The first trade wasn't it the Niners and Bucks basically swapped, and then the next trade would have been the Chargers and Green Bay. So 3 trades. I think last year was 6 in the first round. Through my previous videos, I had mentioned that I thought there was going to be less trades. Maybe because of the medical issues, as well as it being a virtual draft and all that stuff and coordinating it. As I mentioned before, Andrew Thomas, I wouldn't have been shocked if he was the first offensive tackle taken. He was. The Miami Dolphins smoke screen everyone they end up going to. I'm really happy about that. Herbert, all the tools in the toolbox, but struggles throw with anticipation to me and placement consistently. So he went to the Chargers. I'm much happier than seeing Tua to the Chargers, in my opinion. And then, Isaiah Simmons at 8. I thought the Raiders might be tempted to try to trade up. Obviously, it didn't get done. That's all right. So the Raiders, the offensive tackles went C.J. Henderson. That was kind of fun. So the Raiders get here. Rumored to possibly moving back with the Bucks. For some reason, that didn't really happen. And maybe it's because they wanted to make sure they got their guy. They weren't sure if they traded back with the Bucks would have been here. Niners would have been here if the Niners would have taken one receiver. The Niners say that Ayuk was their number one receiver, and then maybe CD. But who really knows? You're going to say whoever you took, they took Ayuk later. They traded up for him. So the Raiders took Henry Ruggs, the speedster, the speed demon out of Alabama. Let's go like this. Go. Ruggs, more draftable. Let's see if some of the measurements are getting. So as you can see, explosion, as we mentioned before. Height, weights, arm length, a little worrisome, but that is just great right there, that side of the spectrum. Only 3 drops in his career, I believe. The route distribution is really nice. This is more of just a brief kind of thought process and all that. After the draft, we'll be breaking down the additions to the Raiders made more in depth. But drop it really low. His target share, by routes, were the most distributed of any of the top 7 receivers. Had a little chart that Pro Football Focus did. I'll bring that up when we dive more into them. But, the main thing I want to see is you see the DHB again, DHB comparison. I just don't think that's really fair. He was, only maybe 100 career touches, but 25% touchdown percentage is a crazy percentage. And like I said, only 3 drops in his career. So when they made this pick, I just totally kind of smiled and just thought Al Davis. Through and through, Al is smiling right here. Give me the pure speed. We can clean up the route running a little bit. We can manufacture to get the ball in his hands, 2 times a quarter, with specific route concepts, just get the ball in his hands quickly. So, John Gruden, I think this is, definitely John Gruden's guy. Not really all that surprised that he went with it, that pure speed, and dealing with Tyreek Hill. All those times, kind of makes it a little bit easier to say we need that kind of, we got to be able to score quickly. And then, the main thing that I kind of mentioned about him is, if you don't have a lockdown corner, that can run with them, you're going to have a safety over the top. Because if you're going to play off, if you got the corner alone on him, no safety over the top, you're going to play off coverage. He can take the slant route 85 yards, split the safeties against South Carolina. If you want to play press and there's no safety over the top to, eliminate that slant and whatnot, if he breaks by, he's gone. So, he kind of makes the defense have to play a certain way. All I have to have a safety over the top. It kind of makes it a little predictable, opens things up for when Josh Jacobs, Hunter Renfrow, Darren Waller, and then potentially if they add another receiver in the third, which I think they should, or, later in the draft, helps them open it up. So Henry Ruggs, might not have, when this year ends, this upcoming year, he might not have, 1,000 yards, 80 catches for 10 touchdowns. He probably won't. But he might have 45 catches for 700 yards, 6 touchdowns, and open it up for everywhere else to where, Hunter Renfrow's top 3 slot receiver in the NFL. Darren Waller does what he did just like last year. There you go. Josh Jacobs, allows him to not take as many, men in the box. He's more of a piece that can really help. And I think, taking this piece really kind of makes it significant, compared to CeeDee Lamb or Judy, that you go get another receiver here pretty soon on day 2, preferably. Probably the 3rd round. You don't want to trade up and lose assets, but, pick 80 for example. If, Van Jefferson, excellent route runner, or an Edwards, a big body guy, someone like that, maybe Pittman continues to fall, which I don't see. And Isaiah Hodgins maybe later. They need to get another complement piece. So let's a little spill on that. Tristan Wirfs, big fan of him, mentioned before. So he's, the last of the high tackles. Javon Kinlaw, as I mentioned, to my brother, big Niners guy, I thought this was the right move for the Niners here. Go get Kinlaw. You're the receiver you're going to get, in the second, potentially if you wanted to trade back, they end up trading forward. They got Ayuk. My point is Kinlaw, and then get another receiver. Jerry Jeudy goes to the Broncos. That hurts a little. Jerry is very polished. There's rumors that the Broncos were have to trade up. The Broncos had to trade up and get on, at least to lose some assets. They got their guy just remaining patient. That kind of hurts. And then maybe the one that hurts the most right here, man. I firmly believe A.J. Terrell isn't picked at 16. He's the pick at 19 for the Raiders. But, the big, gifted physical corner, probably the second, physically gifted corner in the class. You said C.J. Henderson goes there. As I mentioned before, one of my mocks, CeeDee Lamb here, Dallas is going to catch a falling star. It just makes sense. One of these 3 receivers were bound to fall a little bit, and it's CD. And, going to Oklahoma, not too far from Jerry's world. Austin Jackson, who would be the next tackle? Would it be Austin Jackson? Would it be Josh Jones? Cleveland? And it's Jackson. And then 19, Damon Arnett. When this happened, folks, I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to sugarcoat it here. I was a little stunned. Was a little stunned, a little upset. I kind of predicted him as, as I mentioned in my previous pods, late 1, that group of late 1 corners, early 2. I had him a little bit further, mostly just because of his age and not his elite testing measurables. Having said that, I really like his tape a lot. I think he gets challenged a lot and he makes plays on the ball. He played with a broken hand or wrist, if I remember correctly. And, he wanted to come out early and ended up staying. But really my issue is taking him in the first is this. He doesn't have the testing or the measurables of a first rounder. He doesn't have the 31 plus inch arms. He's got 30 inch arms. He doesn't have the 4.4 speed. He's got 4.55 speed. And he's 24 years old, or he will be 24 years old during this rookie year. So really, he's probably only a 1 contract player, which is fine. It is fine. But the point being, at 24, he was physically able to dominate some more players and, a little bit more man strength. He's going against 20-year-olds sometimes. Having said that, I really liked his tape. I've seen the Clemson game back about 4 or 5 times with him in it. It makes a lot of good plays out there. I thought it would have been dream. He hardly made it to me at pick 80, in mock drafts, but I got him a few times there. And I'll put it like this, he offers some flexibility. If he ends up not panning out purely on the outside, he's going to be a great nickel corner, I think. You always got to have a bunch of corners. And this appears to be Mike Mayock's guy. And I would have liked to trade back a little bit, get another pick, a little bit more flexibility. But, hey, Mike Mayock, pound hill for this guy. Like I said, I like his tape. If you really watch his tape, he does do some really nice things out there. Let's go like this. Um, see if we got some stuff on him. Lower passer rating allowed in single coverage in this draft class. And he got tested a lot. They run a lot of single coverage and cover 4 at Ohio State, with Okudah across from him. He got a lot of targets at him. Mad Max and a little love. Here's a little play right here. I don't want to show it all. Wasn't break on that ball. Let's see again here. Breaking on it. He's in a house call. It nice. Damon Arnett hasn't given up more than 1 touchdown in his 4 collegiate season. That's nice. There's a lot. Let's see what this is. There's a lot to sort out with Arnett. Been a wild child for a long time, according to NFC Scout. Did not extend background work. Entering his senior year, the Buckeyes, 6'1", 195, had a reputation of going back to high school, handful of coaches, cocky, running his mouth, and the guy who struggled. And then became his father. Seems to have a now. So as you see that, Arnett has the skills to become an immediate starter. Wow. Either outside or at nickel, so the NFC personnel director, I could see someone taking him late in the first round just because he's a talented kid and they're willing to oversee some character stuff. Well, there you go. Boom. Talented kid over there. Obviously felt a little bit more, comfortable with his character. Maybe a guy like Christian Fulton, who's, more popular in marked. But as you see here, wouldn't surprise the NFC personnel director taking him late round 1. We got him middle late round 1-ish, but hey, there you go. So there's some more positives there. And like I said, I do really like, his tape. The new debut, it seems like Arnett. Yeah. So, they went and got their guy, and I like some of his tape. We've seen that play. In this little hype video the Buckeyes sent out, I kind of liked it. He seems to be, a motivational leader out there, pumping up the team out there. Doesn't mean everything, but it's good having that vocal guy out there that can talk and fire guys up. I like it. I'm starting to come around a lot more. It's the thing that honestly just hangs me up is the older age and just the not elite testing. I really, really like his film, and I challenge you guys to check out his film. Go on YouTube, put Damon Arnett space verse, or Clemson or Ohio State verse, and just look for number 3. He goes and plays nickel a lot. He plays outside. He's versatile. So that's I'm doing a lot better today. We got Chase on going to the Jags. They got Chase on Josh Allen. That gives them some real speed and flexibility from their outside pass rushers. Jalen Reagor, one of my favorite guys, going to Philly. I love the fit there. Justin Jefferson to the Minnesota Vikings at 22. I think that's a hell of a spot, to get a guy like that. However, I do think I would have liked to see a little bit more speed there. And then look what the Chargers do. They trade up all the way to number 23 to go get Kenneth Murray, heavily rumored to be loved by the Raiders. That kind of hurt a little bit. Ruiz, try to protect Drew Brees like that. And then, as I mentioned before, Niners go up and get Ayuk, arms down past his knee, real explosive kid. And then another shocker, man. Jordan Love going to Green Bay. Green Bay, NFC Championship. Thought maybe they add a player to really, capitalize on the Aaron Rodgers window. And they went with that. Jordan Brooks, one of my favorite players. I, was hoping he maybe lasted third round pick 80. Didn't happen. Late one like that. Ahead of Patrick Queen. That really surprised me, though, honestly. If JB ends up checking this out, I like to pick Patrick Queen here a lot. You get your running back later. Isaiah Wilson. Popular, gaining ground. They weren't able to trade back. They stuck with their guy. I kind of relate that a little bit to, at 19 with the Raiders. And Noah Benogany. A lot of people were surprised they might take a corner. Can't have enough, though. There's usually 5 on the field, almost at 80% of the time. So they got the 2 highest paid outside corners, and then they go get themselves a nickel. Jeff Gladney, Minnesota. I said that a bunch. I really like the fit of all the corners there. Real physical guy. I think, I was kind of surprised Bears didn't take him over Mr. Arnett, but hey. And then the Kansas City Chiefs, man, they got a great running back. I was scared they're either going to get him or Swift. Sure enough, they get Edwards-Helaire, and their passing game just got a whole lot better. Now, going into it, that's a mock draft thing. Let's see if we can find a big board here. Going into the future, I look for the Raiders, or I hope the Raiders, don't really trade up into the second necessarily. I want them to, have as many picks as possible. So, for the Raiders, some guys that I kind of hope that maybe fall, if a free safety were to somehow make it, I don't think a Jeremy Chinwell, but maybe a Chin or an Ashton Davis somehow makes it, that would be awesome. Or maybe a Kyle Duggar, if you think he can play some free. I think that would be a key. You need to add someone to your secondary is my point still. Whether it's a safety or another corner, maybe get Meek Robertson. I know we met with him. He's a pure nickel, feisty guy, competitive. Played on the boundary at Louisiana Tech, though, too. So I think they need to add someone on the back end. They need to add a complement and 2 Ruggs, either a proven route runner or physical, bigger guy, target. Brian Edwards comes to mind a lot. Of Van Jefferson, if you want the route runner, those would be 2 guys. They need maybe an interior offensive lineman. Gabe's on the block. They're trying to do even a pick swap, similar thing they did with Kalechi. We'll give you Gabe and a 5th. You give us your 4th. I think they would take that. So interior offensive lineman, a nice young guy to bring in is a nice possibility. Possibly a running back, maybe a bigger-ish running back to, take some power carries away from Josh Jacobs. So, I want still 4 or 5 contributors to be drafted here. And, the Raiders have 3 threes, I believe 4 and a 5. So I don't want them to trade up and lose, the ability to add more of that. And I think, if you add a nice secondary piece, whether it's a Robert, a Meek or, another outside kind of corner that tends to fall, or one of those safeties, I think that really makes the Arnett pick a lot stronger. And if you're able to get a nice compliment for Ruggs, that makes the Ruggs pick a lot stronger. So I just wanted to give you that, for all you listeners out there. Sorry I wasn't able to make the viewing party, kind of got an old school dad, and we watched the draft as a tradition. He didn't want me on the phone, on the computer, checking in with you guys, and all that. So I just wanted to make this video and check in. I'm excited for day 2. Let's get it, Raiders. Let's have a good day. And if you're a little down on the Raiders draft, just remember day 2 and day 3 is where last year the Raiders made a whole heck of a lot of noise. And I look for the Raiders to try to do the same. So let's try. Hopefully the Raiders are able to trade back, gain some more assets. And if I could pick 1 or 2 players I would really love, would be Ashton Davis and Brian Edwards. The safety from Cal, Ashton Davis and Brian Edwards, the wide receiver from South Carolina. I think they could easily both go in the second round. So I'm not holding my breath here, but that'd be nice. All right, guys, take care. Enjoy day 2. Stay safe and bless. God bless.